I do a show. You're probably like, isn't that the Sanford sit down guy? Yes, I am the Sanford sit down guy too. But I am also the guy that does the hijack. These stories are stories that are outside of the Sanford jurisdiction. Local good news, Orlando Shine launch party. Orlando Shine is a blog that was started by Brendan O'Connor. Downtown Orlando is no longer what it used to be. Gay clubs here are always popping. Like it's hard to find a gay club that is not packed to the gills. Local businesses have to realize that you're not going to be able to compete with the internet. Two teens that were trying to kill a kid in any lifetime. He makes Richard Nixon look like a Boy Scout. And this is not a war, apparently. This is an ongoing tension, but this is not a war. And I hate to say that Alex Jones had a point. The N.FM, I am DJ Zwain. This is The Hijack. Thank you for hanging out. Hopefully things are working out a little bit better right now. Having some issues here. No, that's not it. Why is it that every time there's something going on, everything works perfectly? Perfectly. And then I turn the computer on, I get it to work right, and next thing I know, I'm out here, delayed. It's looking all weird right now. Oh, it's so infuriating. It is so infuriating. But thank you very much for hanging out. My name is DJ Zwain. This is The Hijack, and I know what you're thinking. Some of you are new listeners, whether you're doing it live or you're doing it on Reels and things like that. I do a show. You're probably like, isn't that the Sanford sit down guy? Yes, I am the Sanford sit down guy too. Yes, I do the Sanford sit down, but I am also the guy that does the hijack. The Sanford sit down is a podcast that I do about the city of Sanford. The Hijack is a show where I talk about stories that are outside of the city of Sanford. For the most part, like if it's an election thing, of course I'm going to have to do that. But yeah, oh wow, I have so many things open on this thing. That's why it's acting the way it is. There we go. So I turned off a bunch of stuff. Hopefully that helps. So thank you for coming out. I do another show also called Irreverent, where I talk about more of the spiritual side of things. So that was actually the first podcast that I ever produced. And I started it as a Christian with a couple friends of mine. I am no longer a Christian, as most of you know. So the tone of that particular show has shifted. Here's what I try to do. I try to build up a list of things that I want to talk about on whatever show it is that I'm going to be talking on. And I put it to each respective show. If it's a story about Sanford, then obviously I'm going to put it on the Sanford sit down. These stories are stories that are outside of the Sanford jurisdiction. So I'd rather do one show with something real to say than do 5 shows just because of the algorithm. Hey, Big C, what up, homie? It's good to see you. Good to see you. But honestly, I just want to talk about something when it's worth talking about, things that are worth talking about. Usually that means 1 or 2 shows a month. The Sanford sit down, there's a lot more for me to talk about there because there is, it's much more local. And I only talk about things that I feel need to be talked about. Like, for instance, today's Friday the 13th. Now, I am not superstitious. I'm a little stitious, just a little. I have friends that have a Friday the 13th traditions. They'll watch the Friday the 13th movies. Some of them will go on a marathon for Friday the 13th, maybe during the weekend or even the whole day if they have the day off. So there's a lot of people that do that. Obviously, if you go to Imperial Class Tattoo, there's Friday the 13th. Tattoo specials, I am sure, because that is a big thing that happens in Friday the 13th. Shout out to the tattoo shops and everybody else that's celebrating in some form or fashion because you're weird or a little spooky, you know? Speaking of, old, actually, more than anything, I am turning 44 years young in a week. I will say, turning 44 has made it so that I take care of my health a little bit more. Not a lot more, but a little bit more. You know, I try to I try to be cognizant of what I am putting in my body, pause. And I want to make sure that I can be here a little longer, especially for the nephews and the niece. Now I'm officially in my mid-40s. I could kick the ass of my younger self. And that right there, 10 years younger, if I could go back 10 years and I could still kick the ass of my younger self, I feel like I'm doing okay. So right now, I can confidently say that I could beat the crap out of my younger self. So it's a weird metric. I understand it's a weird metric to have for how you are doing physically and mentally. But I am doing better than I was when I was 34. Way better. And 34 to like 39, 34 to 40 was really rough. So yeah, the fact that I am better than all things considered is actually cool. This year, I'm going to try to see how close I can get to California sober. It doesn't mean I'm not going to drink, and it doesn't mean that I'm not going to. I'm going to be very selective about when I drink. And you know, another goal this year would be to do more traveling. Obviously, that's I've been talking about that for a while. I definitely want to go back to the DR. I want to go back to the Dominican Republic. I miss it. I posted on Facebook. I need to spend a month there to just download the Dominican slang from the last 3 years. Oh, thanks for the gift, man. Appreciate it, Big C. And you know, I want to visit the DR. I'm going to continue, you know, obviously popping off at the mouth as I normally do. And you know, I'm not a Christian anymore, but it sounds like to me and to many people, it sounds like I sound more like a Christian now than I did when I was an actual Christian, because that Jesus guy, that Palestinian Jew that people pretend to follow in evangelical Christianity, well, that guy had some damn good ideas, and I happen to like him a lot. It's really interesting to see how my life has changed in the last 10 years, because 10 years ago, I was a Christian. That's wild to say. It was like right around the end of my Christianity. I hung it up at the age of about 34, I think. And you know, like I said, it's a growing process. I have a lot less animosity toward Christianity, believe it or not, than I did before. But I have a shorter fuse for when people try to use Christianity, manipulate the teachings of Christianity to manipulate people, which is, I mean, if you believe some of the things that I believe, that religion was basically that. That's basically all religion. So, and like Nietzsche said, you know, I'll believe in the believe in the Redeemer when the Christians look more redeemed. I think it's something like that he said. It was some variation of, I will believe in the Redeemer when the Christians look more redeemed. That is I believe that was a Nietzsche quote. I'm going to feel like an idiot if it wasn't. I should have Googled that. Anyway, doesn't matter. We have some good news, though. I'm going to start with the good news. This is what I've liked to do, because I've listened back to some of the shows that I've done, and it sounds like I pop off at the mouth too much with bad stuff. So let's start with some local good news, yeah? Local good news, Orlando Shine launch party. Orlando Shine is a blog that was started by Brendan O'Connor, one of my favorite Canadian gays, probably my favorite Canadian gay. I don't know too many Canadian gays. Anyway, he came out with his new blog. If you know Bungalower, he was the editor over at Bungalower. Bungalower is a staple in Orlando publications when it comes to Orlando blogs. So, yeah, so he was the editor-in-chief there for many years, and now he is doing the Orlando Shine. Orlando Shine is the new blog, orlandoshine.com. The party was at the Drinkery, Rogan's Drinkery, which I found out when I got there that it was the old BART location. I didn't realize it until I parked, so it was cool to see Brendan over there. He was doing his radio show that you could listen to on Real Radio 104.1. I was telling him that we need to throw a party soon, so we're going to be doing that. Local media and nightlife getting together and like combining and doing cool stuff like that. I've always loved that. And especially in places like Orlando, where you have the Orlando Weekly, where you have Bungalow, where you now have Orlando Shine. That kind of camaraderie is what builds these, the events that you see happening, including Immerse. I got to hang out with and catch up briefly with Cole Neesmith, so that was kind of cool. This year's Immerse, if you don't know, is a festival that takes place in downtown Orlando. It just happened. I DJ'd last year in front of the Marita Bread Factory sign outside one of the first clubs I ever DJ'd. I was there for 2 days. It was a lot of fun. Things like that are what are saving Orlando nightlife, because outside of that, it's become very much a bedroom town. I think that, Places like Mills, obviously, Will's in that area, Sportstown. Those are the nightlife areas in Orlando. Downtown Orlando is no longer what it used to be, unfortunately. I hope that the city, as much as they talk about economic development, and I say that about Sanford too, I hope that these cities realize what they are doing when they are cutting nightlife by making more fees, by doing things that are clearly just to make the place into a bedroom town, just to not have the nightlife because it's too much. I hate to be ageist, but a lot of them are older people that have these issues, both here in Sanford and in Orlando. So yeah, hopefully the city recognizes and gives Orlando a little bit of support. But yeah, that's what I did yesterday. That was yesterday. All my days are blending in. I stopped by very quickly because I was going with the Fairvilla family over to the Watermark Out Now Awards. The Watermark Awards at Anthem downtown. Anthem, I walked by Anthem with my sister and her wife a couple weeks ago when I went to see Mark Rebier. And that place was popping for being I think it was a Thursday night. Gay clubs here are always popping. Like it's hard to find a gay club that is not packed to the gills with people. But very, very cool. Shout out to Watermark Out Now Awards. They were really cool. And shout out to Fairvilla, the Fairvilla family. They got the Favorite Adult Novelty Store Award. So we were there to celebrate that. And I was in the picture. So thank you to Joe and everyone at Fairvilla for bringing me along to be a small part of that awesome organization. Independent businesses in Orlando thrive when they build community, and I think that Fairvilla has done a really good job with that. I mean, I am kind of biased being that I am, the voice and DJ of Fairvilla. So there is a little bit of bias, but really, if you look at any business, local businesses have to realize that you're not going to be able to compete with the internet, period. You're not going to be able to compete. So what do? You make it so that people can visit you. You make it an event. You make it a thing that you can't do online. Yeah, can you make an online event? Sure. But having that face-to-face is what is the differentiator. That's your special sauce. Everybody in every business has heard, oh, what's your special sauce? You have to know what your special sauce is. Your special sauce, community, local business, is that you are local. You have a physical entity there. Humans are social creatures, and you can only do so much. Yes, you have the introverts and you have the people. I love being, by myself in my house and blah, 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 blah. But we are social creatures, and we need to capitalize on that. That is... and that's something that Fairvilla has done really well with events and with being, partnered up with people like Secrets and other bars around town doing dirty bingo and all of the stuff that they do. It's that plus. People are like, oh, well, you just have to have social media. No, you don't have to just have social media. Social media is the bare minimum. You posting on social media is the bare minimum. And so when you have, events, plus the social media, plus the and good social media, like it's stuff that catches the eye, not just selling stuff. Yeah, so shout out to them, and shout out to all the independent businesses and small businesses, because they're big, but they're technically, I don't know if they're technically a small business, but they're definitely a mom and pop. They're definitely a business that is not a faceless corporate entity. I've actually met the owners. I've actually met the CEO. Joe is the chief marketing officer, and she's out there shaking hands and kissing babies. That's what people should be doing. We have to get to the bad stories, unfortunately. I thought we had one more good story, but apparently we don't. We have bad stories. So let's start with bad story number one. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, this is two teens that were trying to kill a kid that looked like the Sandy Hook shooter, and they were accused of plotting to kill another student from this is at Lake Brantley High School. This is the rival high school to where I went to. I went to Lake Mary. Here we go.
Just really moments after they were arrested. Channel 9's Valerie Boyd joins us live from the Seminole County Courthouse. Valerie, it was a video from inside the patrol car that convinced the judge, for pretty clear reasons, not to release these two.
That's right, Greg. That video showing the ride to the jail was just very alarming. And inside the courtroom, well, the judge said it would be just too risky to release them from jail.
Even though I have like, this is such a bonding experience.
15-year-old Isabel Valdez and 14-year-old Lois Lippert laugh and smile as if they were heading to a party. But in reality, they're on their way to jail.
I was gonna do my makeup this morning for the mugshot, but I couldn't find anything.
Prosecutors
Wow.
played this video to show the judge they're a danger to the community.
Sociopathic attitude that both young ladies exhibited.
I thought I was gonna get sent to psych ward. That's why I was so excited about everything.
Investigators say Valdez recruited Lippert to help her kill the victim because he resembled the Sandy Hook school shooter. It's someone Valdez obsessed over. They plan to slit the victim's throat in the school bathroom and drink his blood.
I was like, I don't feel guilty for my actions.
During the hearing, Lippert's parents took the stand, trying to convince the judge they could watch their daughter at home.
The computer I use for work is already locked down. I can't even access Gmail or Facebook from there.
We tried talking to both suspects' parents outside, but they declined.
I do feel bad for my mama. That's the only person I feel bad for. And you. I feel bad for your mama too.
The judge denied bond, saying this video showed it would be too risky to release the girls.
At least we're together now.
Wow.
And both suspects have pled not guilty to attempted murder. Their attorneys also declined to comment. Reporting live in Sanford, Valerie Boy for Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Now, the mother of the 15-year-old police say the teens were plotting to kill was in court today. I sat down with her for an exclusive interview last week. If you haven't seen it, you can scan the QR code right there on your screen or just go to WFTV.com. I talked to her today. She said when she was in court, she was literally sickened by that video, by what she saw. And she also is thankful that both of those girls will remain locked up. Also on her website, you'll find a GoFundMe for the family. She's a single mother working 2 jobs. She's had to take time off from work and all the therapy that is now needed to heal this family. Governor Ron.
So yeah, this is one of those things where you think it's like it's a movie. People that mentally ill, children or otherwise. Wow. How can somebody with that level of depravity? She was checking the girl was checking her makeup. I don't understand I mean, I guess, you know, you'd have to be sick in the head to understand that kind of depravity, but they targeted him because one of the girls said they looked like the Sandy Hook shooter. And, you know, obviously they're laughing about it, no remorse. Imagine committing a violent crime like that, or attempting to commit a violent crime, and then just laughing about it, or saying, "Oh, I thought they were going to send me to the psych ward. Like those rubber rooms are going to be any better." Tell me you haven't been to a psych ward without telling me you haven't been to a psych ward, kid. And the thing is that, you know, what are they, 14, 15? They can't be more than 15 years old, and now their life is essentially over. Game over, man. And that is right around the corner from where we are. Again, it wasn't in Sanford, thankfully. But it was in Seminole County. It was in Lake Brantley, which is the rival school of Lake Mary, where I went to school. Speaking of psychopaths, our psychopath president decided that it would be a good idea to start a war with Iran. This is from yesterday out of ABC News. Let's
It's day
take a look.
12 of the war with Iran. Here's ABC's Ian Pannell.
It was around 1 a.m. All the people in my neighborhood, everybody was shouting, "Get Khamenei," and we were so happy.
I saw that it's confirmed. He is dead after this many being killed and this much suffering in the region. They are a cancerous soul. They have to be removed. And there was no other way.
After months of protesting, risking their lives, of calling for the downfall of the regime, the news came like a thunderbolt. The supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, had been killed.
A short time ago, President Trump confirming Iran's supreme leader is dead.
Hope was rekindled for the tens of thousands still mourning those murdered by the regime during protests earlier this year. ABC News has been trying to connect with Iranians on the ground to get a sense of what their life has been like since the war began. Those who sent messages remain anonymous, and some voices altered for their safety. When the war began, the regime once again cut off internet and communications across the country, controlling its people along with their messages of resilience.
We are hopeful And we are waiting for the day that this country will be free. To be honest, the life is not how it used to be, but the supermarkets, the grocery stores are open, and we have electricity, we have running water, and we hear the attacks like every 3 or 4 hours, and some days maybe less. But I can say the now it keeps us going. We are grateful for this opportunity, and we are waiting for the day that we can go out to the streets and get back our country from the Islamic regime.
President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu have both encouraged the Iranian people to rise up when the bombing stops. But the security forces are still in control of the streets, angry at the supreme leader's death and US-Israeli attacks.
It's very scary because they all have guns, and they are very furious now because they have lost the supreme leader, and we are very happy about that. We celebrated, we um, drink, and we have parties in our houses, but it is very, very dangerous outside. Everybody from the regime and IRGC has the gun. Most of them are very ugly and furious, and they have free will to shoot everybody.
A woman who was in Tehran during the first week of the war telling us her home was close to a few regime targets, and as the attacks went on, the days got darker.
The house was shaking. I don't know, a few seconds later when they finally hit the target. And the blast wave was so strong that the doors and windows frames were about to fall out of their place. And it was
I want you to imagine this here in the States. I want you to imagine this happening down the street.
very, very, very scary. The atmosphere in Tehran is much, much scarier than the first days now. And many people are scared. I really, really think that the conditions are getting harder every day for those who stayed in Tehran.
We are worried that maybe this war stops before the complete regime change, and we want this war as a help, as Mr. Trump has promised us.
I want the world to know that the whole Iran situation is caused by 47 years of Islamic Republic ruling. Started with Khomeini.
So,
People were anticipating these attacks and understood the cost. I know it's sad, but people were in favor of this attack and still are. The mission is clear.
there's only
Iran.
only
And assuming
50%.
by now everyone knows this deeply entrenched, heavily armed regime could not be removed by the sheer force of protests. Foreign intervention was needed. People in Iran are not idiots. We don't
Stop me when it sounds familiar, by the way, because there are people here in the United States that would absolutely celebrate the elimination of certain people in our government. There are people who would. So, like, the people that talk to me about how everybody's in favor, every Iranian I know is in favor of this war. Really, everyone? Because according to reports, only about half of them are. And most of those are outside. They're in the diaspora. Most of them have left Tehran, or they left Iran in general, and they don't know what's going on over there. You can't ask. I was having a conversation with a family member of mine who shares these views, and I asked them, "Do you know who the Dominican president is?" This person's Dominican, obviously, because we're from there. And they said, "Oh, I just had to look that up like 2 weeks ago." If you had to look up who the president of the Dominican Republic is, because you're part of the Dominican diaspora, do you think that you, a Dominican who happens to be Dominican, but lives outside of the Dominican Republic, has not lived any significant of time in the Dominican Republic, really at all, Definitely not in your adulthood. Definitely not in anything past 5 years old. So like when you talk about these people that have literally left Iran or left Cuba or left Venezuela or left all of these places, when you see all of these people making comments about how how the U.S. should enact war on these people, something that, by the way, is illegal to do without Congress. So our dear leader is Dementia Donnie over here is literally breaking the law again because he's covering up the fact that he broke the law by touching children. That's it. Operation Epstein Fury, a president that has done more illegal things than any other president in our lifetime, in any lifetime. He makes Richard Nixon look like a Boy Scout. And this is not a war, apparently. This is an ongoing tension, but this is not a war. Even though on the first day, America shot a Tomahawk missile into a school full of children, girls. Over 150 people died, including children. But the Dow's over 50,000. The Dow's over 50,000, ladies and gentlemen. People still die when they don't call it a war. You could call it a party. You could call it a bathtub. You could call it a plant. It's still going to kill. Whether you call it a war or you call it a conflict or a whatever. Like, it's insane how people look at what he does and they're like, no, that's fine. It's fine. Do you realize that the people that are making the decisions here are making, a lot of them are making the decision based on the apocalypse? Do you realize that? Do you know that? Do you know that, like, the people that are in charge right now believe in a death cult that makes it so that in order for the end of the world to be triggered, we have to have all the Jews go to Israel. Okay? And they have to slaughter a red cow. And all of these, look it up. I am not lying to you. I'm not kidding. This is the basis for evangelical Christianity, the basis for the evangelical death cult that is American evangelical Christianity. If you don't believe me, I look it up. I promise you don't have to just, don't just listen to me. You don't have to take my word for it. Ba-da-ba. I promise you that's what this is. They are, they've said it. Lindsey Graham has said it. All of these other death cultists have said it. So let's be for real. Dementia Donnie is in the Epstein files. He's in the Epstein files more than Harry Potter is in the Harry Potter series. And that's the reason that Epstein Fury, Operation Epstein Fury, what we're doing to Iran right now, that's the reason that's even a thing. Okay? The reason that's happening is because Dementia Donnie wants to stop people from talking about Epstein. And the thing is that Bibi knows that. So this is all tied in. You know what's sad? I worked for the Central Florida flagship station for Alex Jones. He did an event at the Orlando Highlight, a sold-out event, and I was in the green room with him. My brother JJ, who passed away, he was there with me. And this is before the Sandy Hook stuff. So this is before he was canceled. This is before he was still crazy-ass Alex Jones. Still crying on the air about how he used to play football. I remember him off mic being as crazy as he was on mic. And the fact of the matter is that I hate to say that Alex Jones had a point. It hurts to say this. It really does. Alex Jones is somebody who had it right about the kid touching and the about Hollywood, the Hollywood elites and the DC elites. But the problem is, much like with Tucker Carlson, much like with all of these others, that when they talk about this, they say the Jews, and it's not the Jews because it is the Zionists. And there are infinitely more Zionists that are Christian than there are Jews. Yes, obviously Zionists. There are a bunch of Zionist Jews, but 92% of Zionists, 92 I think is something like that. Over 3/4. Let's just to be safe. Over 3/4 of Zionists are evangelical Christians, and I know plenty of anti-Zionist Jews. They're great people, and they speak the truth. Hell, the Hasidic Jews. Man, you want to talk about some people that are burning Israeli flags and stuff like that. The Hasidic Jews are about that life. They are true about that life. And yeah, so what are you going to call them anti-Semitic? Oh, I love that. When people call me anti-Semitic or people call anybody else that's like brown, that's a Semite, that is like an actual, like, you know, where the DNA comes from the Levant. When they're like, oh, you're anti-Semitic. No, anti-Zionist. Very much so. Yeah, ABC News is crazy now. That last video, like you could tell that they're very much towing the line there. The Dementia Donnie line. Let's see here. Iran issues a statement purportedly to be from new leader as war with the U.S. and Israel rages. Iran state media issued what it said was a statement by Iranian Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei vowing to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed and keep up attacks on U.S. bases in the region. The U.S.-Israeli war with Iran entered its 13th day. That was today. It was purported by the new leader's first statement since he succeeded his father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed in the Israeli attacks on the first day of the war. The statement said Iran will avenge the blood of its martyrs, including the victims of the March 1 attacks on the girls' school in the city of Minab, which Iranian officials said killed at least 165 people, many of them children. NPR confirmed the U.S. military is investigating how it could have targeted the school. Well, I could tell you why. Because they used Claude AI. According to some reports, Claude AI was the AI that they used for this, and you know, basically, that's what happened. They tried to use AI, and they first tried to deny it that it was the U.S. They tried to deny that it was the U.S., and then there was like they found the Tomahawk missile. We're the ones that do the Tomahawk missiling. So yeah. So this is not going to go well for the U.S. Yes, we are more powerful than the Iranian military, but they are more strategic. They are taking $20,000 to $100,000 drones, shooting them into Israel, and making them deplete all of their Iron Dome defenses. It's really bad because each one of those missiles from the Iron Dome is like $1 million or something like that. So for every 100,000, like they'll probably throw, whatever, they're $20,000 to $100,000 drones into Israel, and maybe if 20 of them get hit, the other 40 will make it. You know, like it's really just an overpowering the defense systems to the point that we don't have the money. We don't have the money to deal with that. It's not going to happen. So, why are we in this mess? Why the hell are we in this mess? Well, let's take a look at AIPAC. AIPAC, or the American-Israel Political Action Committee, is essentially what it is, has spent so much money on our Congress, and it has not been deemed a foreign entity. It's an American entity. So we're going to go through. I'm going to go through. Let's do Florida first. Let's go to Florida. Florida. All right, let's see who's gotten, because this is a good indicator. You know, before you vote for someone, look up AIPAC first. And, I mean, for me, the way that I'm using this AIPAC tracker is as soon as I see that they are on AIPAC's payroll, they are off. I don't give a crap if they're a communist. I don't care if they are a socialist. I don't care if they're a democratic socialist. I don't care what if AIPAC is in their pay, if they are on AIPAC's payroll, I want it. So there goes Ashley. There's Ashley Moody, Rick Scott, Jim Patronis, Neil Dunn, Kat Gamma. I mean, this is basically everybody. Let's see. Track APAC approved. We found one. Maxwell Frost. So Maxwell Frost is the one from Florida that's getting my vote. All of these people not getting my vote. None of these people getting my vote. Anybody? 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 I'm surprised we had one in Florida. Who do we have in Georgia? This guy is, yeah, this guy's Israel lobby. Let's see. Let's find the approved endorsements. Let's see. Candidates endorsed by Citizens Against APAC Corruption. Perfect. Here we go. 2076 presidential candidates. Potential Democratic candidates that are APAC. All of these people. Wait, Ro Khanna? Hold on a second. I thought Ro Khanna... We encourage this representative to continue improving. Okay, whew. All right, so Ro Khanna is improving. This representative had a strong legislative on Israel-Palestine issue. Okay, this candidate rejects Israel lobby contributions. Okay, perfect. So AOC rejects them. J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, he's that billionaire guy. Josh Shapiro, this candidate is pro-Israel. Former APAC board member and Israel lobby donor. Okay, so Pritzker is not it. This is the first website you should look at before you go and vote. Oh, Glenn Youngkin, J.D. Vance out here looking like a serial killer. Let's see here. Pro-Israel. Oh my God, Donald Trump Jr. Can you imagine if he won? Oh my God, that would be so bad. We're going to have another, this is like going to be like a dumber Bush pair. Ugh. Anyway, so Rahm Emanuel, yeah, all of these people, you should not take seriously. You should take none of these people seriously. These people are the reason, well, not AOC, but the people that you see that say here are pro-Israel, those are the reasons that we're in a war with Iran. Let's see. These are all the people that are anti-Israel or anti-Citizens Against Citizens Against APAC Corruption. Doesn't mean they're anti-Israel. It just means that they're against the corruption of Israel, which, whatever, fine. Do what you can. Baby steps. Baby steps. Now, let's go through these frequently asked questions because I think that it's important. Who funds APAC? It's largely funded by billionaires and corporate executives. You could stop APAC recommendations, compact, anti-democratic. So yeah, they have a really good trackapac.com is where you need to go. Go to trackapac.com if you are going to go vote. Before voting, check if they have Israel money. That is why. One of the main reasons we are in this mess to begin with. Dominican Republic beat the crap out of Israel in the World Baseball Classics. So also, shout out to the World Baseball Classics for the picture that they posted just said Israel eliminated with zero context. But it turns out that it was just, it was baseball. But not only did the Dominican Republic beat the ever-loving, it was a biblical beatdown of Israel. Not only was it that, it was such a bad ass whooping that the official Palestinian social media accounts responded with "Que lo que?" It's an exclamation of celebration, of jubilee, because Dominican Republic beat the snot out of Israel. The snot. In fact, let me see. Can I find? They got slaughtered. Here, check it out. This is the
2 outs in this inning. If Prager can figure out a way to keep a goose egg on the board, that's a huge win for him. Let's see. Meanwhile, the Dominican could break out quick. Low per ball 4. 4 walks in the inning and a 1-0 lead. They had 11 walks yesterday and 6 scored. So that's Prager aim as well. Get him on and find a way to get him in.
That's why this line of
Old Prager.
hitter after hitter, it just make you pay in the zone.
Boom. Bye-bye. See ya. See ya. See ya.
Is at the building.
See ya.
The party is happening right now. Well, we talked about the at-bat, starting it off, sitting soft.
I mean, look, just a
San Pedro de Macorís' finest.
San Pedro de Macorís.
Does miss and delivers. Take a look at Brian Bayo.
The third inning. Hold on, let's go.
Determination, playing for your country. Both the
Ninth inning. Look, I'm just gonna skip to the ninth.
Teams will get the off day. They'll get to refresh the pitching a little bit.
I think that's the biggest key is everybody resets.
Bang!
Really go. So first, steps out.
You out, baby.
So the Dominican Republic
10-1, baby.
pool play still won't be to go, but they will head to quarterfinals.
How do they look like they're jogging and dancing at the same time?
Venezuela, who also automatically advances with the DR win.
Man, that was so awesome. It was so awesome to see that. Shout out to the Dominican Republic. The DR is, you don't play with us when it comes to baseball, man. That's us. That's what we do. That is what we do. Now, there's one story that I wanted to cover that is out of Richmond, Virginia. You just kind of saw that. But Richmond mural supporting Palestine sparks debate over watermelon imagery. Let's take a look and see. This is out of Channel 12 up there. So yeah, I've actually been to this area. It's really cool, and that mural is dope. It isn't a black area, so the people that are not very educated, that it's a black thing, but it's not. It's a Palestinian freedom symbol. That's what the watermelon is, because the occupying force of Israel made it so that it was illegal for Palestinians to fly the Palestinian flag. So, in order for them to be able to still fly their colors, they would open up a watermelon, because that is how badass, that is how resilient, that is how resourceful the Palestinian people are. And so it has become a worldwide symbol of Palestinian freedom, the watermelon has. So that's where this comes from. But like I said, the uneducated masses sometimes will speak on those. So let's hear what happens. I don't want to speak ahead of time, even though I just did. But let's see what happens.
Now to Richmond's north side, a new mural is sparking a major conversation. This artwork aims to support Palestine, but it's left some African-American community leaders scratching their heads. Taylor Bryan explains live at 5.
Now, I talked to different Black community leaders in Richmond, and they say that they don't have a problem with the message of the mural, just the watermelon imagery. At the intersection of Brooklyn Boulevard and North Avenue sits this mural. It's a dark-skinned Palestinian woman holding a slice of watermelon, and the seeds spell Free Palestine. If you don't know what this imagery means to Palestinians and their movement, Dr. Feda Tota with VCU says it goes back to 1967 when Israel occupied the West Bank and Gaza Strip and banned the Palestinian flag.
Now, the Palestinian flag has 4 colors: red, white, black, and green, which also happens to be the colors of a slice of a watermelon. So what ends up happening when you ban the flag is that people become creative in finding different ways to express their national identity.
Dr. Tota says watermelons continue to appear in artwork and have been recently popularized globally to signify Palestinian solidarity. It's not about the actual watermelon, but the colors. However, the mural is in a historically Black neighborhood undergoing gentrification, and the watermelon imagery hits different.
I was taken aback because of the imagery that it represents. So to me, understanding the history of our people and what happened during the Jim Crow era and how those images were used to demean us and make fun of us and ridicule us and run us out of the business, it really bothered me.
During Jim Crow, racist caricatures of Black people eating watermelon were used to undermine successful Black farmers who grew watermelons to build wealth.
The history of the watermelon is a positive thing in the Black community, but it was used to denigrate other people.
So far, the mural's artist hasn't commented. The building's owner, Teresa Sharp, didn't want to go on camera, but told me she wanted to hold space for Palestinians and raise awareness for their cause. Sharp and the group are now considering a town hall to get the community's input before moving forward. Taylor Bryan, 12 on your side.
I will extend this olive branch. I can understand why people who didn't know the Palestinian story would think this way. I think that personally it should be left up. It's not my building. It's a private building, so the private building can do whatever they want. I thought this was America. But at the same time, I understand where the gentlemen there were coming from. But they also have to understand where the Palestinian people are coming from. Now, is there a situation where they can change it, or they can change the watermelon, where they change the thing? It's a really beautiful piece, man. And it has nothing to do with black people. And so this is a very difficult one. This is a lot more difficult than when I initially read the story. I'm thinking about the area. It's not a very affluent area. I understand, I guess, both sides of it. But yeah, I'm curious to see how the city is going to go into how the city hall meeting is going to respond. So we're definitely gonna follow up on that. When things like symbolism for different oppressed communities are a very interesting thing to navigate. So I'm definitely curious to hear about that. There was a video I watched recently on the differences between access, people confusing access and connection. You know, access or being near power, knowing people, doesn't mean that you have that connection. There are people, and I was talking about this in a personal sense, that think that they have access to people personally, like they have, and it is not the case. They have access, but they don't have a connection to that person. Like, I have a lot of people that have access to me, like at work, when I'm DJing, maybe online, when you're posting a comment or message or whatever, you have access to me there. Now, connection is completely different, and that's where parasocial relationships start getting a little wonky. That's when you start seeing things like stalkers wanting you to be there for certain things, or maybe asking you to be somebody that miscalculating the level of closeness you have with these people because, you have, for instance, again, I'm talking about me. I have a very social job and very social work and very social life in general. So like when I connect with people, I connect with a ton of people, but only a handful of those people, I could say, have me as a connection, and vice versa. There are a lot of people that I'm sure I have I try to stay back. I try to err on the side of acquaintance, if that makes any sense. I try to err on the side of like, yeah, we know each other kind of thing, but we're not like sipping international cups of coffee, talking about our feelings and shit. That's not what I like to do. I err to be on the more acquaintance side, and then if they invite me to their table, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, no, like the access versus connection, and this ties into professionally, like the concept of having a job that just pays the bills versus having to be passionate. Have you realized that every conversation that you have about a job, every time that you have a job interview, it's like, so what are you passionate about? Are you really passionate about rental cars? Are you really passionate about accounts receivable? Like, is that a thing that you really like to do? Or is it something that you're just doing because you need to pay the bills? Well, the reason that people do that, and the reason that jobs have adopted cult language, is because they want to pay you less. It's all part of the big scheme. Follow the money. Oh, you're a family. We're a family here at blah, blah, blah insurance. And it's cool to be calling yourself a family. I have no problem with businesses calling themselves, they're a family and stuff like that. But realize that is, yes, if you are my family, if you really are my family, then you're going to want the best for me. And the best way for me to have what is best for me is for me to be fairly compensated for the work that I want to do for this family. That's a real issue that I find with regular corporate work. Like, and look, there are jobs where passion is a thing. I work as a DJ. I work doing media, and I am passionate about creating media. Now, am I passionate about every piece of media that I have to create for work? No. I like these. I like this media that I'm doing. I like DJing. I like the most of the gigs that I do. Thankfully, nowadays, most of the gigs that I do are gigs that hire me because they see I'm passionate about a particular type of music, a particular atmosphere, a particular subculture. So they hire me for those reasons. But if I was a freaking accountant, if I was accounts receivable, if I was a rental car representative, I'm not passionate about renting cars at Avis. That's ridiculous. I am passionate about having food in my belly and a roof over my head. And if you're passionate about paying me for that, I'll be passionate about doing the job because I'm passionate about food and shelter. So that, my friends, that is the key. The key here is the company as passionate about paying you fairly as you are supposed to be about your life in this particular in this business, in this job. So think about that the next time that you look for a job. And I know things are tough, and I know that you have to BS, and if I have to BS, then I would BS, but I've tried to make it so that I don't have to do that. And that, my friends, is a freedom, a liberty that really money can't buy. But also, family doesn't pay the bills. Family doesn't keep a roof over your head. So make sure that your family, your work family, is paying you properly. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is DJ Zwain. This is The Hijack. Thank you so much for hanging out. Make sure and follow me on all social media at DJ ZOUAIN. You can follow The Hijack at The Hijack The End. The Hijack The End. That is everywhere on social media. You can follow me at DJ ZOUAIN on all social media, including Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. So thanks so much for hanging out. And we'll catch you next time. I'm going to be doing a Sanford Sit Down episode later this month, so stay tuned.